Welcome. In today's video, we will be learning how to solve higher order equations with factoring. And again, today's objective is to solve equations by factoring out the greatest common factor. Solve equations by factoring with grouping. So let's go ahead and dive into the first problem. Solve equations by factoring out the greatest common factor. That means I'm factoring out the greatest common factor. To do that, I will so my first problem is solve 15x squared is equal to 5x. To solve this problem, I'm going to bring everything to one side. That means I'm going to get my 5x to the other side. So 15x squared minus 5x is equal to 0. Once I have this, I'm going to go ahead and see what can I factor from 15x squared and 5x. That means I'm trying to see what can I factor from 15 and 5, the numbers, and x squared and x. So if I'm looking at the numbers from 15 and 5, I know I can factor the 5. From x squared and x, I know I can factor the x. 5x times what gives you 15x squared? 5 times what gives you 15? 3x times what gives you x squared? X minus 1 equal to 0. Once this is 0, you know you're going to use the 0 property, right? And set each of the factors equal to 0. So I have 5x is equal to 0 and 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. Once this is done, 5x is equal to 0. That means x is equal to 0. Dividing both sides with 5. Add 1 on both sides. What do you end up with? 3x is equal to 1. X is equal to 1/3. So my solution is x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1/3. Now let's go ahead and check this with a handy dandy Desmos. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Desmos here. And let me see if I can expand this. Yes, I can. I can't do this any further. I'm going to go ahead and type in what was my equation. 15x squared minus 5x. And once I do that, I thought I was able to move this one. Once I do that, as you can see, my solution is 0 and 0.33333, which is nothing but 1/3. And that's exactly what you got from your solving, from your worksheet, from your problem, or from your solution. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Here I have 16x squared plus 24x is equal to 0. And again, in my mind, I'm thinking, what can I factor from 16 and 24? What can I factor from x cubed and x squared? From 16 and 24, I know I can factor out 8. From x cubed and x squared, it's always going to be the lowest power, which is x squared. Once I have that, 8 times 2 gives me 16. So 8 goes into 16 2 times. X squared times what gives you x cubed? X. Plus 8 times what gives you 24? 3. X squared times what gives you x squared? 1. And again, if factoring is hard and you're having difficulty understanding this, then that's a red flag. I want you to go back and refresh your factoring because it's very important. We passed that stage and we are factoring higher order equations. Now, once this is done, what do? We set each factor equal to 0 using 0 property. 8x squared is equal to 0. That means x squared is equal to 0. That means x is equal to 0. 2x plus 3 is 0. That means 2x is equal to negative 3. Subtracting 3 on both sides, x is equal to negative 3/2. So here, my solution is x is equal to 0 and x is equal to negative 3/2. Now let's go ahead and see if that's what I have in my Desmos. So I'm going to go back here, close this, and I'm going to plug in my Desmos. I had 16x cubed plus 24x squared. And again, if you look at it, I only have one. So zoom out. This is a cubic function. You're going to have one going up and one going down. So knowing your functions is also very important, because if I did not know that, I would probably stop at this. So as you can see, I have negative 1.5 and 0. Negative 1.5 is nothing but negative 3 over 2 and 0. So right here, negative 3 over 2 and 0. So having your Desmos to cross-check always is very handy. Now let's take a look at the next one and see if Desmos is any use to us. So here I have 4x power 4 is equal to 18x squared. Again, my first step is to bring everything to one side. Do you see that? Okay, now let me go ahead and graph this in Desmos to see if this is going to help me in any way. So my equation was 4x to the power 4 minus 18x squared. And now when I expand this and try to see, I have one root, which is 0, and negative 2.121 and positive 2.121. And I really don't know what fraction that is. So sometimes having Desmos is helpful, but not all the time, because you don't know what this negative 2.12 is, positive 2.12 is. When you have situations like that, you have to go ahead and solve this. And that's why you need to know the process, right? So here I am. I'm going to change the color to red. So what's my rule of thumb? Bring everything to one side, and then I'm trying to see what can I factor from 4 and 18? What can I factor from x4 and x squared? From 4 and 18, 18, 4, only number I can factor is 2. And from x4 and x squared, remember the rule of thumb? You can always factor the lowest power. Now 2 times what gives me 4? 2. X squared times what gives me x4? X2. 2 times what gives me 18? Negative 18, sorry, negative 9, and then x squared times 1 is x squared, and that is equal to 0. And now once I am here, I know I'm going to use the 0 property and set each of the factors equal to 0. 2x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. So from here, x is equal to 0. Let's go ahead and solve this. 2x squared, adding 9 on both sides, equal to 9. Dividing by 2. What do I end up with? X squared is equal to 9 over 2. What is my x? Square root of 9 over 2. Square root of 9 is positive 3. Square root of 2 is square root of 2. Square root of 9 is also negative 3 radical 2. That means your solution is, let's pick a light color. Your solution is x is equal to 0. X is equal to positive 3 over radical 2, negative 3 over radical 2. And that's exactly what you have in your Desmos. But there is no way in the world that you would know, at least I would not know, that negative 2.121 is 3 over radical 2, and this is, one is positive 3 over radical 2, and the other one is negative 3 over radical 2. So that's why you will have to know the process of solving with greatest factors without using your Desmos. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the next equation. Again, the key here is we are factoring with grouping. So the question will tell you what you should do, so please be careful while you're reading it. And again, I have my variables spread all over. I do not like that. I bring them all to one side. 5x squared minus 9x minus 45 equal to 0. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and count how many terms I have. Oh, not now. I'm going to go ahead and count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. When I have 4 terms, what do? I deal with the first 2 and then the last 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. From the first 2 terms, what can I factor? From x cubed and x squared, remember always the lowest power, right? And I don't have a coefficient, so this is going to be x plus 5. And now from -9 and -45, I can factor -9. That means what do I have? X plus 5. Now you can always cross-check by multiplying. -9 times x is -9x. -9 times +5 is -45. You have to get back to the previous one. If not, that means you made a mistake. And also, the other clue is you should have x plus 5 and x plus 5. The factors should be the same. If not, that means you made a mistake. Okay, that's how you check. And that's equal to 0. I forgot to put that. Now, once we factored, what do? I bring down the x plus 5. And what am I left with? I'm left with x squared minus 9. So let me bring that down. X squared minus 9 is equal to 0. Once I'm here, what do? I set my factors equal to 0. X squared minus 9 equal to 0. So from here, x is equal to -5. And from here, x squared is equal to +9. That means x is equal to square root of 9, which is +3 and -3. So my solutions are -5, -3, +3. Now let me go check with my handy dandy Desmos. Handy dandy. Which one is that? There's some cartoon that says handy dandy. All right, let's go ahead and plug this in. X cubed. Let me make sure I have the right one. Plus 5x squared minus 9x minus 45. I hope I have the right one, right? Yeah, minus 45. And once I do that, I'm going to expand and take a look. -5, yes, I have that. -3, yes, I have that. +3. -5, -3, +3. -5, check. -3, check. +3, check. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the last problem for this video. What do I have? I have, how many terms do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 terms. How do I work with? I work with the first 2 and then the last 2. That means you're grouping them. Okay, now let's take a look. From 3 and 2, I can't factor anything. But from x cubed and x squared, what can I factor? X squared. Remember, always the lowest power. So what am I left with? 3x minus 2. The rule of thumb is if I have 3x minus 2 here, I should have 3x minus 2 on this side as well, right? All right. From -6 and +4, what can I factor? -2. So when I factor -2, what do I have? 3x minus 2. You can cross-check. -2 times 3x is -6x. -2 times -2 is +2. So it's always good practice to check before you go ahead and solve. It takes you a couple of seconds, but trust me, you'll be more confident. Now, once I have this, do I have the same factor, 3x minus 2? Yes, I do. 3x minus 2? Yes, I do. So what do? I bring down the factor, right? I'm factoring it further, 3x minus 2. And what am I left with? X squared minus 2. And that is equal to 0. And now, what do? Once I have this, I'm going to use my 0 property. So 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. That's a perfect 0. And x squared minus 2 is equal to 0. What do I have? Add 2 on both sides. So 3x is equal to 2. X is equal to 2 over 3. Add 2 on both sides. What do I end up with? X squared is equal to 2. What is x equal to? Square root of 2. That means positive or negative, plus or minus radical 2. That means how many solutions do I have? One is 2/3, the other one is positive radical 2, and the other one is negative radical 2. Radical 2 is 1.42, I don't know after that, so let's go ahead and take a look. But let me see, what is this? 3x cube, okay. This is 3x cube minus 2x squared minus 6x. I think it's plus 4. Yeah, plus 4. And now see what you have. Oops. Negative 1.414, which is negative radical 2. Positive 1.414, which is positive radical 2. And 0.6667, which is 2/3. So you have negative radical 2, positive radical 2, negative radical 2, positive radical 2. Oops, I lost those. And negative radical 2, positive radical 2, and 2 over 3. And that's exactly what you have from your solution. 0.6667. Negative radical 2 is negative 1.414. Positive radical 2 is 1.414. You have all three of them. So even though you have your Desmos, and if you don't know how to solve, it does not make any sense. So please make sure you know how to solve these. Now pause the video and let's dive into the next